Okay, hi everyone. I hope this video finds you well. So today we are going to talk about the order of operations. So today we are having order of operations, variables and types, and the auto keyword. So the arithmetic operators or the main arithmetic operators are the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and the modulus. So there is a term, PEMDAS. It stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So this is basically the precedence of each of these. So first you would do parentheses, then exponents, then the multiplication and division, then addition and subtraction. It's also can be expanded. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So there are many more operators in the C++ programming language, but this is a good starting point. So these are the things we are going to talk about today. The multiplication, division, modulus, addition, and subtraction. So the order or the hierarchy of operations, if I ask you to evaluate this, 8 plus 4 divided by 2. So the hierarchy of operations would be, if I would ask you to find the result, is it the result 6 or the result is 10? Now, you have to know the hierarchy of operations to answer those things. So the hierarchy of operations, you would first do exponentiations if there is any. Then multiplication and division if there is any. Then integer division would follow that. Then the modulus. Then eventually additions or subtractions. So is the answer to this 6 or 10? Now, if you'd say 6, then you would be adding 8 plus 4, then dividing the answer by 2. If your answer is 10, there you're doing it the right way, which is 4 divided by 2, then you add the 8. So the answer is 10. What about this one? We have 3 plus 5 divided by 4. So in real math, you would have 5 divided by 4, which is 1.25, plus 3, that gives you 4.25, right? But the parentheses change the order of operations. If we have something like this, because as we added parentheses in here, like this, that would be first you do what's inside the parentheses, even though division precedes the addition. But since the addition is surrounded by parentheses, it goes first. So you do 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now, let's do this one. Example of order of operations when you have 81 divided by 9 times 3 in parentheses plus 3 times 2 plus 2 in parentheses. So the first thing you would do, the most left or leftmost parentheses. So 27 for the 9 times 3. Then you would do the rest of the parentheses, always going from the left. You did this. Now let's do this one, which gives us 4. So you end up with 81 divided by 27 plus 3 times 4. So you have division, you have multiplication, and you have addition. Always division and multiplication comes before the addition. And if you have two of the same precedents, you start from the left. So you would do this one first. So you would do 81 divided by 27, which gives you 3. Then you would do the right side, which is this one. 3 divided by 4 gives you 12. The overall answer is 15. So the new operators we have is what's called the relational operators. So we have to check for equality, or greater than, less than, greater than or equal, less than or equal. So what you do in real math, if you have greater than or equal, is this. Less than or equal is this. However, since we don't have these special characters in on the keyboard, so what you have to do is the angle bracket followed by the equal, which is equivalent to this one. So let's try those. So they are used in the form left value operator then right value, left value operator then left value. So if you see something like this one, then it's a question. Is 6 greater than 7? Now the answer to that is yes, which we say true, or no, which where we say false. So is 6 greater than 7? The answer is no, and it's false. So operators in the C++ are always act on objects of the same type. So what happens if we don't have objects of the same type? Like, is 6 greater than 6.5? Then this one gets promoted. So thus, if they are not the same, one will be promoted to match the other, and always we go to the higher precision. So the type of the result of the operation is the same as operands after conversion, except with relational operators. So we'll see what that means in these two examples. So here is the first example. So let me just say first that generally when you combine two values, the result will be that of the same type. So if you have two of the same type, integer plus integer, like this, 1 plus 1, that results with 2. If we have 2 plus 2, then that results in 4. Or 2 plus 2.5, that results 4.5, and so on. So this is straightforward. We don't need conversion. But if we have something like this, we have double plus integer, then the result is going to be double. Now, we are talking about literals of different types, or in this case of the same types. So the C++ standard spells this out very clearly, how to handle those things and what to promote. So here is something you have seen before, but let me make sure that you understand it. If either is double, then the other is promoted to double. If either is float, the other is promoted to float. If either is long int, the other is promoted to long int, and so on with unsigned int or int. Now, the auto keyword asks the compiler to decide the data type based on what's being assigned to it. Now, let's have some examples of the auto keyword. So we will use the auto specifier to demonstrate this and to show you that the promotion we were talking about is actually happening. So the auto keyword directs the compiler to use the initialization expression of the declared variable to deduce its type. So do not use the auto keyword in your code at this point. You may use it in later in CS131 or CS132, but not in CS110, except for demonstration purposes or practicing. So because it is an advanced ability that we will use to investigate type convergence for now, but in CS131 we will use it for actual purposes. So we included type info and IOStream in our program, and we are going to test that. We are going to use the auto keyword. So we define 5 types or 5 variables of different types, like integer type, double type, float type, long type, and character type. So we are going to use auto to check what we have when we have integer and integer. What is the type ID? The type ID, the type of the result, like unknown type 1. And when then we'd say dot name. Give me the name of it. Like it would say integer, it would say double, it would say float, long, character, and so on. So if we do integer and integer, what is that going to give us? It gives us int. So this is printing this word. Int. Why? Because int plus int results in an int. Double plus double results in what? Double. Long plus long results in long. Float plus float results in float. Okay, that was straightforward, right? That was straightforward. What about if we mix those? Like, if we do character plus character, or character plus boolean, or something like that. So worth noting that boolean is stored in the memory as 0 or 1. Character is stored in the memory as the ASCII number that represents it. So types like boolean and character do not have the standard operations plus, minus, multiplication, and division. So this makes sense because what does it mean to add two characters? It doesn't mean any sense to do that. Except you can do this, right? Why? Because they are converted into int eventually, and you can do arithmetic operations on integers. So if you do character boolean, like character plus character, the type is int. Boolean and boolean, the type is int. Because let's say this boolean is true, which is basically represented by 1. This one is also true, which is represented by 1. 1 plus 1 equal 2. Now 2 to the compiler is an integer. 2 is an integer. This is why you get int in the output when you do type id.name. Okay, let's combine different types. What is the result of integer type plus long type? It's basically long. Why? Because long is bigger than integer, and integer gets promoted. What about float plus double? It's basically double, because double is more precise. What about integer plus double? Definitely, without saying, the result is double. Why? Because it's more precise. What about float plus long? It's float. Float is more precise, as you can see in here when you do type id unknown type 10.name. So the summary is type must be the same to use an operator on them. Combining like type will almost always result in the same type, except character and boolean, which results in integer. Combining different types will always result in the higher precedence type, the one that is more accurate, the bigger, the more precise, and so on, as you have seen in the previous examples. So here is a quiz example. So in the same module as this lecture slides, you will find quizzes. So here's an example of what you will find. Let's do it together. So what type is the unknown type, which is this one, where we use the auto keyword. So that was integer type plus double type. So the result is definitely double, because double is more precise. Double is more precise. This one gets promoted to double, and double plus double gets you double. Why is this one getting promoted? Because it is promoted to be more precise, right? So do the rest on the same module as this one. So you do the quizzes on Canvas. those quizzes will be found in the same module contains this lecture. Have a great one and catch you in the next one.